Yo guys, just a quick heads up. This is going to be a podcast style video where we are having just a general discussion about a bean talk. So if you're not interested in sitting and listening to two people talk about dealing with situations, then go ahead and click off. Otherwise, let's get to the video. Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's Sensu here, and I have a little bit of a different approach of something that I'm going to do today. So, if you guys have taken part in any of my game streams, you would know that I have a good friend named Kelithos who features every now and then. So, he sent me a text out, got a nice Facebook message. He sent me a text after I released the latest BeanTalk, and he felt that it'd be a good idea to get somebody else to kind of speak in regards to a bean talk and just to kind of have another dynamic on it. So I'm going to title this Bean Talk Reflection, and it's just kind of more of a straightforward sit down conversation. It could either be with myself and just reflecting over the bean talk, or it can be like this where it's going to be me and another person. For this instance, it's Kelithos. So without further ado, I guess we're going to just kind of see how this plays out. It's kind of a podcast style video, so, you don't have to really expect it to be like awesome editing or anything like that. You're just listening to this to kind of just hear the voices and hear our input about it. So, let's go ahead, and I'm going to introduce my good friend Kelithos here. Go ahead, Kelithos. Say what's up, man.
Hello, everybody. Is your guest star today, Kelithos. You might remember me from all the Let's Plays. Well, all of his kind of. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
I don't know.
They're Let's Plays.
Yeah, just Let's Plays. No, it's been a while since I've been on a mic, so I'm nervous.
Well, this was your idea.
I know.
And you specifically said you yourself, so I don't. You didn't seem too nervous in the text message, so.
It's a text message. Anyway.
Yeah, you have a different audience now. I mean, so back when I was doing gaming streams on Sensu Bean Cartel, the channel had about 200 subscribers. And so while it had 200 subscribers, today it's almost at 700 subscribers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so definitely a nice little jump in volume here. We got a lot of new people. And so some people are probably going to be turned off by this because they probably subscribe because it's, in general, mostly a Dragon Ball channel.
Yeah. Or
just anime in general. So we like to do things different here. And for anybody that knows about this channel, what Sensu Bean Cartel actually is, it's a anime as the platform with real talk being a constant theme about it. So I'm never gonna, bandwagon with things. I'm never gonna say things that I don't feel. If I think something sucks, I'm gonna tell you I think it sucks. So with the Real Talk segments, they are Bean Talks. And so if you haven't checked out the Bean Talks, please do. So for today's Bean Talk reflection, we're focusing on the latest Bean Talk episode 4. And it was your spirit beast. And so if you didn't watch the video, please do. But the general consensus is our character manifests the beast inside of us. And the actions that we choose to act on in our everyday lives will eventually harbor the beast that's inside. So if you are doing things that character-wise are good, your beast is going to come out good. If you do things that are bad, your beast would probably come out being quite the negative beast, which would eat at you instead of aiding you. And so it's kind of focusing on, it's not something that is as simple as good or wrong. There's oftentimes we're put in situations where things that we are doing, we might feel is right, but the general perception may not be, or we might be put in a tight spot where we have to do something that may not be very, very nice.
Yeah, or in a couple cases, if you're doing something it's not really right, but I don't want to say can't help it, but you just get to that point where it's a necessity, or it's just something that you feel negative start to a positive ending,
Yeah.
Just ends justifying the means kind of a deal.
100%. So let's kind of focus on the topic for a little bit. So The anime that the idea came from is Yu Yu Hakusho, and you've watched Yu Yu, right?
I've watched it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Rewatched it, God, last year with my brother. Went through the whole thing. God, such an underrated show.
Yeah, dude.
Such an underrated show. Hopefully they're going to be making the remake. I've heard rumors.
It's an OVA. It's supposed to be an OVA.
Just an OVA now?
Yeah, just an OVA.
Okay.
They're not doing the Hunter x Hunter treatment
Okay.
that they did, man. Where, oh man, I'm with you 100%. But my fear is that if they did remake it, the English dub for me for Yu Yu Hakusho is what really stands out about it.
Oh yeah, it was done so well,
dude. And it's so boorish. So like Yusuke, man, like when he's training with Genkai, and
he's just angry.
Dude,
like, you can actually hear the angst and just like the anger. It was so done, especially for what, late 90s.
Yeah, dude, like
that was very well done. I was like 8 when it came out. Like it was insane, but it was so good.
Like, calls her a dumb bitch, calls her an old bitch. Like it's ridiculous.
Flips people with a bird like on a regular. Gets impaled like 18 times. Like just they had no cares in the world.
Dude.
Like, dude, this is what's going to happen. Come along for the ride, guys. And it was they would probably water it down so hard.
So I think I've watched the sub version of it, never entirely through. Probably, I think I watched the first 2 episodes subbed, and I was like, oh no, this is nothing in comparison to the English dub, man. I
have never watched it subbed. I've never made the attempt because I know that like it's a one or the other kind of thing for me for the most part. There are some that are really good on both sides, but nah, you can't.
So I remember about. I think I first saw Yu Yu Hakusho 20 years ago, and when they introduced the egg, I really thought, like, at the time, I was like, oh man, that's like wow, that's kind of scary. Like, he does seem like he's quite the asshole. Like, will he be able to make a good beast? Like, and so rewatching it, now as an adult, it's like, oh man, this is kind of a really dope way of making a cool circumstance.
Yeah.
So let's kind of focus on now. Let's kind of talk about like how we feel our current situations would be. If we're talking about the spirit beast, let's talk about our spirit beast, right? So I feel that generally, I've gone through a lot of growth, and I think that mentally, the way I used to think about things and how I would go about things, because of a lot of really dark things that happened during my childhood, man, if I were to continue kind of with the way I was going, like my spirit beast would definitely not be one that would be helping me out, because I was in a very, very dark place just due to a series of unfortunate events. And so when I look at like how I go about things now, like I do things very differently. Initially, when I want to respond negatively, I actually just pause. Like I try my best to just shut down before doing the easy reaction.
It's lashing out, yeah.
Not even lashing out. It's just sometimes it's easier to just do things that are not necessarily right. Like, if somebody says something to you, and you're like, dude, that's dumb as hell. Like, I'm the type of person where I would tell them, like, that's dumb as hell.
Yeah. Trust me, we've had that conversation a number of times.
Yeah, so a lot of people, they aren't exactly that forthcoming. They're more so, they'll play it. They'll say, oh, that's cool. Like, I'm never going to yes man you.
Yeah.
And so me being so factual with how I think and acting out on how factual I think about things oftentimes can be perceived as a very negative thing. So I've definitely toned back on that. What about you, man? Let's get something from you, man. Let's hear about you.
So it's a little more opposite on my end, actually. I'm pretty sure mine has taken a slight downward or negative twist over the past couple years. Oddly enough, for about as long as I've known you, I'm not saying that you're the cause. I'm just pointing out a random coincidence here.
Okay.
No, but no, I have noticed kind of over time our polarities have shifted a little bit. To where I will not necessarily make the best of decisions, and you are well aware of a couple of their names. But yeah, no, it's just. But that's kind of the reason why that particular BeanTalk resonated a little bit, was just kind of that shift that I've noticed over the past couple of years, where instead of being, I like to imagine that I would be at like a good middle ground, like not necessarily super supportive or super like I'm gonna eat your face kind of spirit beast. But realistically, I'm thinking it's leaning a little more towards the latter at this point, which is a little concerning for one word. Yeah.
So I know exactly what you're talking about, and we don't have to decompose on it. We don't have to unpack it, but
Oh yeah, no, that is definitely not a topic for this one.
yeah. So I'll kind of tread along the. I'll kind of tread vaguely with it. So let's say those particular situations, right? You were in those situations, and were you doing things that you knew were one way, or were you kind of just going with the flow?
So, I mean, I knew exactly what it was, but it's kind of what I was talking about before, ends justifying the means.
Yeah.
Where it's
Like you'd rather make yourself, because it's making you feel better, that's kind of more important.
well, not even, it wasn't just me involved though.
Yeah.
It was a collaborative betterment, or at least that's kind of how it felt. So it.
Collaborative betterment.
Did you like that one? Feel free to use that.
That's unique.
Thank you. I have very
It's
nice
hard,
vernacular.
man. It's hard. We're speaking about it, and we're
trying to be very
Like-
vague enough. But I'm like 98% sure that some people will actually be able to pick up on like the type of situation that I'm talking about here.
Nah, man. Right now, it sounds like you could have been doing drugs. It sounds like you could have been stealing. It's kind of cryptic right now. So
Alright, I'm good with that.
I think if you lay the template down that it was just like a relationship that
Yeah.
you were in,
Yeah.
and that it was
not the best situationally.
right. Yeah, that's. I think with you saying that, so
Yeah.
let's help the listeners kind of understand it better. So, you were in a relationship with someone, and the way things were,
I shouldn't have been.
right.
But it just kind of kept, like, it wasn't even a thing that was planned or designed. It just it was one of the things that just it happened.
Do you feel that certain decisions that you made while in that relationship have affected your spirit beast? Do you think that you were put in circumstances where, like, you play games like, let's say, what's it called, where you have the good and dark scale and you're the mutant?
Infamous.
Yeah. So let's use Infamous as an example. On one of them, I don't remember which one, probably all of them, you do things in the world, and based on what you do, it leads your character down a particular road, right?
I think it's actually called like a karma path.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's good karma v bad karma.
So what would you say a majority of your actions were in that relationship? On which side of the spectrum?
They were definitely on the bad karma side.
Yeah.
They were definitely on the bad karma side.
And so, like, looking at those situations now, like, have you learned from that experience, and you're kind of making more better judgments and actions because of that?
I want to say yes. I mean, trust me, I want to feel like I've grown as a person, and I knew, like, the entire time that it wasn't good, but with just how it was, just felt right.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would probably end up doing it again, which sucks.
I mean, so here's the thing, man. I think people associate growth and it only being what people feel is in the more light direction, right? I think growth in general, us as beings, as our days go on, we're constantly growing, and whether we are exposed to good or bad or light or dark, you're still growing, right?
Yeah.
So I think I like just listening to that situation now. I feel like you can easily say that now, looking back on the situation, you've grown in a way where you're like, you know what, like fuck it, yeah, I would do it again. Whereas before, you were probably more so like, well, I don't really know if this is something I want to do. It's just kind of happening, and I'm just kind of going with it. So it sounds like even though it happened and it probably wasn't what you felt was on the lighter end of the spectrum, I feel like it made it kind of more apparent to you just like what makes you feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can see that.
Because it's unrealistic to say that like every time we grow it's only for the positive. Like sometimes, like, just let's use work for an example. Sometimes you can be perfectly content with your job, and then some years down the line you're like, yo, I fucking hate this shit. And it's not that you've stunted your character growth.
Yeah.
It's just that you've come to learn that whatever you're doing, either you've plateaued or it's become mundane, and you're just not really feeling it anymore. But you as yourself, you're still growing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like, I remember when I used to work where you work.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I remember you being so gung-ho.
Yeah.
And then I remember seeing the polarity shit that we were talking about.
Well, I mean, it hit a point where we worked for a motherfucker that ended up stealing from the store, and I had to argue with him over a 10-cent raise. Like, come on, like it's kind of hard to still be passionate or like
committed or just
So that kind of focuses on the part of the BeanTalk where I was saying that people can definitely invade your mental space, and it can be for the positive or for the negative. And so, like, whether we're talking about that dude who made me absolutely dread working at the place I used to work, or the person that you were in a relationship with, there's also people who are in relationships with people that by them coming into their mental fortitude, it actually enables them to be a better person.
Yeah.
So, like, I can say that, now that I've been in a relationship 5 years, there's a lot of things that she's changed in me for the better. Like, I'm definitely way more selfless now than what I used to be. And there's a lot of things where I didn't give a fuck. I was like, if I'm doing what's best for me. But now it's like, I want to do what's best for both of us, or I want to do what's best, just to make her life better.
Yeah, just in general.
Yeah. So, what would you say if you could give somebody advice? They're kind of struggling with their character and trying to figure out who they are, or they find themselves being put in constant difficult situations. Like, you don't have to be somebody who knows the right answers, but if you could kind of tell them something, like, what would you say?
I mean, the best thing to do really is to sit down and just take a long, hard look at yourself, who you want to be, how you want to be. And if you're having a problem doing that by yourself, then if you feel comfortable talking to someone, grab them, talk to them, just go over something like what we're doing here. Just it's super vague. He already knows basically the deal. We've talked about it for however long that whole thing happened, and yeah, now I got an earful for that one. A meme was made even, but
maybe one day I can get you to talk about what actually happened on here. Maybe one day, maybe like in another 8 Bean Talks.
I mean, so the thing is, like, there are 2 people who still don't know who would either beat my ass or shoot me. And I'm more scared of the one who will beat my ass than the one who will shoot me.
Yeah, because the one who's beating your ass is choosing not to kill you. Like,
I mean, no. Because it wouldn't even be an end result. That would just be this is what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. Round 2, let's go. But no, just definitely take a long, hard look at yourself and how you can try to kind of shift the balance more in line with what you want to be. Because, going with bad karma in games are going to give you some nice perks, but in life, not nearly as well.
I can dig it. I think that was actually very well put together. I think this is probably the most serious conversation I probably have ever had with you. Normally, it's me like you're telling me something, and I'm like, oh, that's
That's fucking dumb.
That's I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but you should really put a cease to it.
Yeah.
I guess if I personally were to give advice to somebody who questions or finds themselves struggling with the right things to do, mine is kind of more black and white. I think it's literally just I think you should do whatever's not going to keep you up at night.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person where I constantly replay events over and over in my mind, and at the end of the day, when I'm laying down, I cannot go to sleep until I'm done thinking about the things I did. Like, oh, was I mean to this person? Did they take it this way? Why did this person say this? Why did they say that? But to cut to the chase here, I'm just like, look, if you know that you're about to do something that at the end of your night or at the end of your day, it's going to affect you, you're going to continue to think about it, choose whatever action it is that you know is going to rest easier with you. That you know that when you're laying down at night and it's just you and your thoughts, you're not questioning yourself. Now, this can be whether you did something good or whether you did something bad. I'm not your judge and I'm not anybody's judge. But I think however we make ourselves happy, as long as we're not being detrimental to our overall being, I think you should just really do what's going to make you feel better at the end of the day.
That's simply put, but it's damn good advice.
Yeah, like, you can try to always, so like, let's look at the dynamic. Let's kind of look at it from a different angle. Like, so let's look at the spirit beast, right? Let's say you are doing something to please somebody else. You're doing things that are not making you happy, but they're making somebody else happy. How do you think that would affect your spirit beast?
Well, it depends. Is it more a selfless act or just a going along with emotions? Because if it's more of a selfless thing, then sometimes it's just what you gotta do. Like, you just have to suck it up and do that kind of thing. But if it's just for you to pat yourself on the back, then that's you giving into your own ego and your own pride. So you're just twisting it down further and further. That's the way that I'm kind of seeing it, personally.
So I'm kind of looking at it like, I want to create a situation where it's actually kind of hard to answer. So let's say you're somebody, let's make up a fake scenario here. Let's say you're in a relationship with somebody. This person abuses you and you kind of just like, you can't help. Like, it doesn't have to be physical abuse. It can be mental abuse.
Emotional.
Yeah. And let's say that they put you in situations all the time where it's just making you sad, but you have this urge to please them. Would the spirit beast that you are manifesting, would it be one that is being crafted because you're being selfless and you're doing what you feel is right? Or would it be one that because you're not doing what is in life best for you, one that's not as, like, because you're not doing what is your purpose or what would be best in line for you, would your spirit beast not be one that's in your favor?
Probably the latter, realistically, because you're inhibiting your own growth, as you mentioned earlier, either in the positive or in the negative. You're staying stagnant in a negative area in your life. You're not trying to better yourself or better the situation that you're in. Now, that particular situation is always incredibly difficult to get out of. People will be in that kind of situation for years and years and years before either it happens or they just finally leave and they get the courage to shift that balance back into their favor. But that would probably, in my opinion at least, be on the more negative spectrum.
Okay, so we kind of are thinking alike then. Because that's what I was kind of, my gut was saying it would be more along the lines of negative, because if it's a manifestation of you, if it's a part of you, and you're not doing what's best for you, you're choosing someone over yourself, then it's not a healthy creation that you're making.
Yeah, not necessarily malicious as it would be in, like, as the spirit beast would, but more enfeebled.
Okay.
Would probably be the only thing I can think of, because it's still on the negative side, but it's not out of a truly negative space or a truly negative mindset.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now let's make it harder.
Okay.
If any of you guys watch Naruto, we all know of two particular characters from the very first season, which in my opinion is one of the best story arcs of Naruto in general.
It was so good.
I'm referring to Haku and Zabuza.
Yeah.
So, I felt that was a very interesting turning point for the storytelling of Naruto, and it really did give you internal conflicts with what was right and what was wrong.
Yeah.
So, like,
I also do like the theme that they played with on that.
Oh, yeah.
Where they did kind of dabble in the semi-domestic abusive side of not even a relationship, just whether it be a work thing as it was for them, or a friendship thing if you're friends with people who don't really better you at all, and they're just constantly bringing you down. But you're like, no, they did one nice thing for me that one time. I gotta make sure I pay them back. But then you never feel like you do.
It's like a life debt.
Yeah.
So, what would you say if Haku had a spirit beast? If he was given an egg by Koenma, what would you say at the end of Haku's tale? What would you say his spirit beast would have been?
Are we including the ending of Zabuza also, or no? Like where Zabuza makes amends even though he's dead. Are we including that bit or no?
Ooh, yeah. So I don't remember who died first. Was it Haku?
Yeah,
okay.
Haku jumped in the way and got murdered.
Let's do it in this order. Let's do it in this order. Let's do it as Haku died first, as he did.
Okay.
Haku's egg.
So, on the theme that we're just talking about, where it's not necessarily a knowing that it's in your worst interest or feeling like you're in. I mean, because he definitely felt like he was in debt, but he didn't come off as for himself. I'm trying to think of the right word. Just against himself in his actions. Like everything he was doing still benefited him as well. But it wasn't like a complete destruction of what he was doing or like of his mentality or spirit for the betterment of someone else who wasn't bringing anything along to the table.
So I feel like Haku was 100% happy.
Yeah, no.
And I feel like even though his life wasn't, I guess,
good,
supposed to go that way.
Yeah.
I feel like with what happened with him, at the end of his life, I feel like everything he did was out of the betterment. You could kind of just see his character bleed through, like when he was caring for Naruto, and he was dressed up as a girl, like whatever. But he was caring for him. Like you could see that.
Like you're a good person. You're
right.
getting it done. You're not coming off as upset or just in your own personal rut or your own personal hell that you're making for yourself. You're actually still doing good for you.
Yeah.
But I do remember them talking about how he absolutely hated they had to kill people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of taking a poker to that particular topic. But still, overall, he did what he felt necessary and was content with that.
So
Helped
now
him sleep at night.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. See. Yeah. There you go.
Like how I just
it came full circle pretty quick.
I'm pretty good at doing that.
So let's Zabuza as he makes his last stand and he dies.
So as he makes his last stand, he definitely shifted it over, but it was still a negative thing because he was more self-serving. Everything he did was just for himself, not really for anybody. And when he actually tried to do that, it was too late. He was already the one person that he would have actually tried to make better was already gone. He was bleeding out. Like, there was nothing he could really do.
Oh, he was done.
Oh, yeah, no, he was gone.
But
he definitely made the positive shift into it.
See, I'm a little conflicted. Like, I think it's Zabuza, and I see somebody who it took until the very end of their life to realize what it was that they were living for.
Yeah.
So, like, it's hard to say how somebody's spirit beast can be determined if they are a product of their environment and they are brought up in that way of which they are living their life in a way that's not a good way to live a life, and
technically the best way for them at that point.
Yeah. So it's like,
so that's where the morality kind of gets into a really weird gray area. But that was one of the reasons why I kind of brought up the reflection talk for this, because it was such a wide area that we just like talk about and explore. Like, it's been twice as long as we were originally planning on this to be. Like, minimum.
It's a show now. It's the first start of the Senzu Bean Cartel podcast,
featuring Kelithos as guest star. What's up?
First start of that. So now I have a similar relationship of characters, and okay. I want to see what you think. Now, I know for a fact one of them's just pure evil, right?
Okay, this is gonna be fun.
So Tomura Shigaraki, and All for One.
Ah, man. So that's like not son. You're getting eaten. Like,
so no. We can't say that necessarily for Tomura, because all right. Focus on the part of Tomura and Haku were both found in pretty much the same type of situation almost.
Yeah.
They were both children. They were both abandoned essentially. Well, one just everybody was killed, I believe, because of their power in Naruto.
No, Haku ended up most of their village was murdered.
Yeah.
Or their bloodline.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I can play with water, and they're like, nope, slap.
Yeah.
And icicles.
So they were both at a very vulnerable state as children.
Yeah.
And so the person that came into their lives was somebody who was, in their eyes, their savior, and was somebody who from then on out was going to become very influential for them.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to get too deep on this because the manga and all that stuff, and I'm not 100% caught up on the manga for My Hero.
And I'm only on what they have put on. I have not read any of the manga, so I'm not spoiling it for myself. So, see, positive changes, guys. Small positive changes for yourself.
So let's focus on where in the latest the latest episode of the anime. Let's just do it that way. So nobody's getting messed up. We know what happens between big battle, blah blah blah. I'm intentionally not saying it because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's at a point now where that character has to stand up because their influential role model is not at the forefront anymore. So now they're living their lives because of how they were conditioned.
Yeah.
So, what do you think his Tomura's spirit beast would be? Do you think it's just going to be one that's evil? Because he's clearly doing evil things and wants to kill people.
I mean, so the thing is, the morality shift is very different in that particular world. There's just, it's plain black and white, good and evil. There's no real gray area. But he got taken in by someone on the farther side. So he never had a chance to really develop his own morality. He just felt like he was from what I'm aware of, just coming off of what he's acting like, just a spoiled brat who is trying to be conditioned into this thing that he may or may not actually be. Because he's never actually taken a serious step from what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there's any kind of just lingering, like, I don't know if I should do this, or if he just can't go further without the mentor. But I'm feeling it's definitely on the darker side.
Yeah,
it's definitely on the darker side.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, you know what? At some point in your life, you are able to start kind of having a train of thought. Most of us, at least.
Yeah.
Where you know what's wrong and you know what's right, and you know if you're hurting somebody else for your own gain. Like, you know those types of things.
Yeah.
So I guess let's take this to my last character, and I guess what makes the spirit beast concept that I'm trying to work with here difficult is that we don't exactly have a time frame set in place for when it hatches.
True.
Like, lately we've been focusing on it like if your spirit beast were to hatch when you die. So I'm just gonna say it. All right. So the next person I want to talk about, as far as what their spirit beast would be, is one of my favorite characters of all time. Who do you think it is?
I'm gonna guess Vegeta.
There we go. 100%.
Okay.
100%. I'm glad that you got that, right? And so it's weird because, like, if you apply the spirit beast and the egg hatching at certain points of Vegeta's life, you know for a fact that it would be bad, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It would be absolutely negative.
Do you feel that his shift negates the bad?
So it's not necessarily negating it. The way that I've been, while we're talking about, at least like in my mind, is definitely a balancing scale. So I mean, there's definitely equal portions of everybody that we're talking about, good and evil, or bad choices, good choices, selfless, selfish choices on that particular scale. But I definitely see more on for him at least, after a set point in time going towards the positive. So I mean, the negative can never be erased. Like, your ledger's already written. There is no whiteout. You're set. It's just, if you can go forward and try to be better than you were, to not absolve, but just shift some of that karma. Going back off the infamous thing, shift it back into the positive side.
So let's say Vegeta is about to die right now, and Xeno-sama is standing in front of him with his spirit egg in his hands, and he's like, your actions of your life have led to what this is.
That's a tough call. Because, I mean, he's done a lot of good lately, but he also had killed planets worth of people.
Yeah, dude.
Literal planets worth of people.
Back when him and Nappa were eating the
bug planet.
they were eating these people and killed the bride and the oh man, the groom,
destroyed
it.
Things, yeah.
That was back when Vegeta could destroy a planet with his fingertips. Him and Nappa.
Yeah. But I mean, just we'll just go ahead and etch off everything else. I don't know, because that was kind of messed up. I don't know if there's really a proper scale to it, but he saved the world and technically universe.
Did he have a choice though? Did he have a choice with fighting for his universe?
I mean, he could have just backed out and let everybody die. Technically,
Okay, but what if
he had a choice? He just made this. He made the right one.
So he was fighting for his family, right? And
Yeah.
that's all. That's perfect. And then we think, like, the significant moments for me, the turning points for Vegeta is, like, I started to see him change when they all got back from Namek, and he just beat the shit out of Gohan. Like, all right, so
yeah.
I felt that was bad for him, but it was slowly becoming tame, because normally he would have just killed somebody if they intervened. Like when Piccolo got, like, he would have, like, it wouldn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
But I felt that was when his character started to turn. So there, and then I think of when Trunks comes into play.
Yeah.
And then I think of Majin Vegeta.
Yep.
And so at that point where Majin Vegeta was introduced, he gave in to his inner demons. He gave in to his inner thoughts. So what that tells me is we could actually, so this is it's kind of cool that I brought it up this way. We could actually say that if Vegeta got 2 chances to make a spirit beast, his first spirit beast manifested when he became Majin Vegeta. And I feel like at the point where he underwent the control of Babidi, that was when it hatched and became evil. But then at the same time, at the very end of that, what does he do?
Self-sacrifice.
He self-sacrifices himself. So it's like, I don't know.
I mean, it's
undetermined.
It's really nice when you can have a complicated character like that.
Yeah.
Because that's real, and that's the most beautiful part of it. Because you can easily give in to your darker impulses and do what it is that you want to do. He was just really wanting to fight Goku and see who was actually strongest, and that was the catalyst for it.
I was a savage elite Kakarot. I was like, you think, like he was so focused on it. Like I don't even see him as wanting to beat Goku at that point as evil anymore.
Yeah, he just wanted to win.
I feel like you ever fought somebody in a fighting game and they beat your ass like 2 out of 3, and you're like, yo, I really want to fucking kill you. Like I don't want to kill the world. Like I just want to kill you.
Yeah, actually, I had a very similar incident with one of the Bleach games way back in the day on the Game Boy, and where it was like you could have, you could do the air combo. Yeah, you could have 4 people. And so what I did was I was playing as one character. I'm pretty sure Byakuya, because that's who I am, like just as a person. And like, God, I think it was the scientist squad captain ended up beating me. I'm like, nope.
No, the scientist squad captain was hard as a bitch in that game.
He was.
I remember.
So what I did was I redid that entire level, put all of their settings up to 10, destroyed them, and then slowly worked my way down from 10 to from hardest to easiest, because I wasn't done with it. So it took like 11 attempts of me beating them just to be satiated, which is kind of what I imagined.
11 attempts.
What I mean, it's the best way to describe it. But what would have happened with Vegeta versus Goku?
So I remember.
That one, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the one that was on the DS.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It was when I was in 11th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was back in 07?
Yeah.
08?
That yeah. I understand your frustrations on that, and I live it.
Yeah.
Well, I think this was a good conversation. Like, it's already 43 minutes, and we didn't even intend for it to be really longer than 15 minutes. But
20 at the absolute most.
I think what it comes down to is ultimately manifesting your character for the better is just really really hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's also it's definitely a gray area, but kind of speaking on Sensu's point, whatever it is that helps you sleep at night is probably going to be the better answer for you. Because it's been 2.5 years since the thing that I was talking about. Yeah, I still don't really get good sleep.
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
But the interesting part is is you know it was toxic for you, but you still would drink that poison.
Yep. Dude, it was a good poison.
Oh my god. All right, guys. Well, on that note, just as he said, man, you know, you can never say life is going to be right or wrong. Like you can never say that everything that you're going to do is going to lead you to a particular place. And oftentimes we go through events that may not be the best for us, but we want those things to happen. And so at the end of the day, how you come out as a person is almost kind of, you could say it's up to chance, or you could say like it's up to you, but it's a hard game. There is no definite yes or no to how you will turn out, but you can do your best to ensure that the actions you make in your day are ones that are the best ones for you. You're doing things that you know that they are fulfilling for you. They make you feel better. You're doing things that, I mean, it's an interesting topic. It's like you're going to be put in situations where you got to do things that are better for you, and you're going to be put in situations where you don't want to do what's better for you. You want to just splurge on that moment. You want to impulse on that action. And so at the end of the day, you just got to have a clear mind. You got to try your best to focus your thoughts before you make an action that you can't take back. Because the way you go about your life, as I said in BeanTalk episode 4, the way you do things when nobody else is looking, the way you do things when other people are involved is a definition of your character. So you define yourself. You know, don't let because somebody that don't let situations arise where like you've done something that was better for you, but somebody else didn't benefit from it, so they rule you out as a bad person. Don't let that be something that defines who you are. That's not the case. And I don't really know how to end this, so I'm just gonna kind of shut up now. Did you have any final thoughts, Kelathos?
Not particularly. I mean, honestly, I feel like it was a really good topic to just delve into, which is why I brought that up. It's seeing just the morality play, and as I mentioned at the very beginning, just our shift from where we were when we first met each other to kind of how we are now. It's definitely just an interesting topic to kind of like pick at. But do things that you are okay with, not okay with, but do things that you can live with yourself with. If it's something that you know you shouldn't be doing, but you feel like it could go to the right area, if you feel that strongly about it, then take a minute just to think about it, think it through, but do what you can to be at peace with that decision.
Yeah. Or as Kelathos here, if the poison tastes good, just drink it.
I mean, dude, I thought that the bottle was going to run out. Like,
well,
that bottle definitely got shifted.
You're still a little parched for that negative energy that
oh my god, dude,
you want to put
so
on your
much.
spirit. God damn.
But,
well, guys, that's if you guys want more of this, just go ahead and comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think. I would definitely do another one of these again, and I would love to delve a little deeper. I would be willing to share certain things that have happened in the past with you guys to kind of allow you to better understand my thought processes and kind of understanding me as a person better. So yeah, and maybe one day we'll get Kelathos to break his shell a little bit.
Well, I mean, I'm cool with saying it. I just don't want to get beat up.
Yeah, well, you got a man up, bro.
All
right, guys. I'll catch you later.
right, bye.
See ya.